I've got 1,000 theories as to where poetry came from, why we have poetry, and where it started, but maybe the strongest among them, chief among them perhaps, is that someone, somewhere, at some point in time was experiencing the emotions attributable to unrequited love and thought, I just have to have somewhere to express this. Because if you've ever been in the situation where you feel unrequited love, you can't tell anyone. You don't have the words for that. You can't do anything about it. You can't tell the person that you unrequitedly love. But for some reason, the one thing that you can really do, and it actually has a point and a purpose in the role of the unrequited lover, is write poetry. That's the only place it ever makes sense. That's the only thing that is ever therapeutic when you are in that situation. Welcome to Strip Cover Lit, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I am Adrian Ford, and we are here for another poetry discussion, which will appear, of course, in the poetry discussion playlist here on the channel, now cruising towards 750 videos strong. The poem in question today is known as The Philosopher, and it is by Edna St. Vincent Millay, and it reads as such. And what you are, and what, let me start again. And what are you that, wanting you, I should be kept awake, as many nights as there are days, with weeping for your sake? And what are you that, missing you, as many days as crawl, I should be listening to the wind and looking at the wall? I know a man that's a braver man, and 20 men as kind. And what are you that you should be the one man on my mind? Yet women's ways are witless ways, as any sage will tell. And what am I that I should love so wisely and so well? So I think that in today's political climate, perhaps the first thing that I want to address real quickly. Yet women's ways are witless ways, as any sage will tell. You're allowed to say that. You're allowed to say that, especially if you are a woman. This is not saying that women are uniquely flawed, just that women are flawed, as are men flawed. And I think that it's necessary perhaps to start there because this poem is self-effacing. It is possibly without blame, but it is self-effacing. The speaker here does not say, I am an idiot, and so I love you. The speaker here does not say, you are flawed in that you will not pick me. No, that is not what our speaker is doing here, though there is a bit of perhaps feminine spite, if I could be so bold as to say that, in this stanza here. Because what this stanza here is doing, I know a man that's a braver man, and 20 men is kind. And what are you that you should be the one man on my mind, is saying, I can't have you, I want to have you, I'm in love with you, but you're not so great. You should know that, you're not so great. So I think that there is something approaching blame in this poem, but it is not blame. It is not blame. She is not saying, the speaker is not saying, you are to blame for the fact that I know someone who's braver than you. You are to blame for the fact that I know 20 men as kind. Now, let's talk a little bit about who this potential lover must be. Because it's interesting that we do have that ratio to compare. I know a man that's a braver man and 20 men as kind, stating that our beloved is braver than he is kind. There is a 1 to 20 ratio for men who are as brave versus men who are more kind. This is to say that the beloved is perhaps not as not as lovey-dovey as is our speaker, but is that the purpose of this poem? Are we getting this poem because the beloved is not all that kind? Brave, bold perhaps, strong and brawny. We have the idea that perhaps that is the case. And it is strange, isn't it, that we are given all of these things about the beloved, a couple things about the beloved by which to know him, but we're never explained to why the speaker does love him. It must be among those things which is mentioned, right? Otherwise, to give us these details and not others is kind of silly, kind of missing the point. Is this, if we're going with stereotypes, because the poem does play a little bit on stereotypes, plays a little bit on the witless ways of women's love. And I'm taking this as a non-ironic reading, by the way. I'm taking this as a straightforward reading of this poem. Perhaps there is a stronger irony in there to be had that I do not see. But the poem is stating that the beloved is kind of a rough guy. I know one guy that's braver, but I know 20 that are more kind than you. And women's witless ways about love leave me here wanting you. Is our speaker simply in love with the beloved due to the fact that she was rebuffed at some point? Notice we don't really have anything in here that states that they really know each other all that well. And what are you that, wanting you, I should be kept awake as many nights as there are days, with weeping for your sake? Weeping for your sake. This might be a line suggesting that she's weeping because she does not have the beloved. That is not the only reading available to this line. The other reading available to this line is that there is some reason to weep for this man's sake. What has he done? Where is he going? Why is he absent? And what are you that missing you as many days as crawl I should be listening to the wind and looking at the wall? Is our speaker simply lovesick? Or are they outright depressed, refusing to get out of bed? Now, there is one detail here that we haven't talked about yet, which might tell us the most about our speaker. It's the title, The Philosopher. Anytime the term philosopher is thrown out there, it means one of two things. It means someone who has thought very deeply about something, which it could mean here, or it means someone who has thought about something rather than doing the thing. How often is the term philosophizing thrown around in a diminutive way? Oh, look at him over there philosophizing. Look at that philosopher. Oh, it's a regular Socrates, right? I think that what's going on here is the dynamic of this poem to me reads such that what it is communicating is a woman who has observed a man from afar and done things flirtatiously towards him, but not directly flirtatiously, just he's supposed to know. He's supposed to read into this and know that I love him. And when those passes were not recognized, it sent the philosopher, our speaker here, into a tizzy. That is what I think is going on in this poem. That is all I have for this poetry discussion. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, literature is the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week. There's poetry every Monday, and as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.